Watch this before you dehydrate your 3D filament, that is. Hey, it's Mr. E3D with another filament dryer to share with you today. Last time I shared with you a dual dehydrator, this time is a single dehydrator. I am on a search to find the best low-cost, non-DIY solution for drying my filament. This particular one is called FixDry, F-I-X-D-R-Y, and it's available on Amazon. I'm doing this as a voiceover, as I didn't record my voice on the video that I took when I was initially checking this unit out. I received it from Amazon, and when it came in, I was really impressed with the packaging. The packaging was clearly labeled. There was no guessing on what is inside. Opening the package was surprising to actually see so much foam that was just completely protecting the entire unit, along with a bag that was around it too, I imagine, to prevent any moisture from penetrating through. So we're fairly well packaged. It was good. So it seemed to be and very well protected. It does feel like a solid unit, and I'm pretty happy about that. At first, I thought, when I pulled it out and I was looking at it, I thought there was a sticker there on the digital hygrometer, and that's actually a battery-operated hygrometer that came already with the battery in it, and the unit was already on, showing the percentage of moisture in the unit itself, in the air in the unit itself. Now, looking at the knob, I initially tried to turn the temperature knob setting counterclockwise, and quickly found out that it only turns clockwise. So that's something that you'll need to note. It really isn't a big deal, but it's something that you just want to be aware of, and you don't want to turn it the opposite way in case you break the actual unit. That would not be good. I really like that they have different temperature settings on the front of the unit so that you don't have to remember the dehydration temperatures for different filament types. You can see there below the temperature knob those numbers. There are 2 ports on each side of the box itself, and these ports are so that you can feed filament through. They provide tubing to insert into each of those holes so that the filament is easily guided out, and those holes can be then used to take the filament and add it to a 3D printer. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I did use a 500 gram spool of PETG. According to the unit itself, it says 65 degrees Celsius is the proper temperature. Now, the on-off switch is on the back. That's where I went to flip the unit on. Right off the bat, I could just slightly hear the fan turn on once I hit the switch. And I got to tell you that the fan is pretty quiet. So that was another plus to this unit. Once I set it to 65 degrees Celsius, I let it sit, and because there isn't a timer on it, I'm having to sit and watch the hygrometer tell me what the hydration or the moisture level is inside the unit. When I looked inside the unit itself to see how the 500 gram spool was seated inside, I noticed that the actual spool wasn't sitting well on the rollers. So these smaller spools probably are going to start rubbing on the bottom of the unit and maybe leaving a mark over time. I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have, but that's just something to note. The other thing I noticed looking inside the unit is that there are some exposed wires along the side where the fan wiring comes up to the fan unit itself. One feature I really like is the magnetic closure at the top that holds the lid on. It really connects to it fairly tightly, surprisingly tightly. You just got to be really careful when you're putting it on because it sometimes doesn't want to go on exactly straight, and so you have to take a little bit of care when you're putting it on. Like I said, I picked this one up at Amazon. It was like around $40, much less expensive than a lot of the others. Somebody I was talking to talked about the Sunlu dryer, and they had recommended that one. they're very happy with it. It is another $20, $30, $40 somewhere in there. So that is something to keep in mind if you're really looking for a good low cost filament dryer. You know, these are kind of the price ranges that you're dealing with for the low cost ones. Overall, it seems to be working as advertised and should be a good unit for single spool dehydration. Just as a note, I did try to put two 500 gram spools in at one time, but they just didn't fit together inside the unit, so I just left the one in. I'm guessing that a 1 kilogram spool is going to fit just fine, standard 1 kilogram spool that is. After a few minutes of letting it run, I could feel the actual container warming up. It took a couple of minutes, but the moisture percentage had dropped a couple of percent by that time, and when the unit is running, I do feel that air pushing out through the seam in that lid. The moisture level goal was 20% for the PETG, and it took a little over 3 hours to get down to the 20%. If I could put together a wish list to improve this unit, I would probably first add a timer feature so the unit would automatically shut off. It makes me a little uncomfortable to have it without a timer. I get a little nervous about leaving it, forgetting about it. Another thing I would add is some sort of seal to prevent airflow between the lid and the base. And finally, the last thing I would add is some sort of mount to secure the unit while the filament is actively being used by the printer. Yeah, I've been using this now for several days since I recorded the initial video on that first day. This has been a really good filament dryer for the price. I added a couple of small desiccant packs. That is maintaining the humidity level in the box despite the gaps that I mentioned earlier. And it's maintaining it down below 20%. All in all, it's a great unit. I really do think it's better than the dual setup, even though the dual setup obviously can dehydrate more at one time. This single unit seems a lot more solid. I would almost want to have two of these and spend the $80 instead of one of the $60 dual setups. I hope this was helpful for you. I do have a link to my site where you can go ahead and pick one of these up if you're interested. Please like and subscribe. Always need more subscribers, and those likes definitely help. Have a great one, and we'll see you next time.